What's going on, guys? It's your boy Don't Win Never, back at it again with another video, another installment, another episode on the channel. Following the last episode with our 5-6 defeat against the Pirates, we do finish out the series. We lose another game with 5 runs as we lose 5-8 to the Pirates late in May. And the last day in May on the 31st, we are tied in a 4-4 game, bottom of the 10th. Crawford does get a bruised calf, but we do get the win out, getting us to 25-32 upon the early season as we round out May and enter June. As we look and see some of our striving and struggling players, we see Carson Wisenhunt struggling, but Apostle, one of the guys we signed in offseason, is doing, well, beginning of the season, is doing fairly well. And David Villar is being a surprising third baseman, and Dapovich is pitching fantastic, even though he's only pitched in 80 innings. Marcio is doing fantastic as well. There's a lot of guys in our minor leagues, in our farm system, with low potential but are surprisingly doing very well. As we lose the opening game in the series versus the Baltimore Orioles 1-3, lose another one, and we just turn away from the action to look at our scouting. As we're looking and getting closer to the draft, as you guys can see, we have 4 weeks left out of it before we do get time to drafting. We want to focus on some prospects instead of just keep looking for other guys and trying to discover guys. We want to primarily focus on who we be really looking towards in the first and second rounds. Donnie Dennis, what a fantastic name, is ranked 4th. So as great as a pitcher as he is, we're really going to get lucky if he falls to us. But that's just one of the guys we were looking at as we're starting to expand what we want to look for. Like I said, guys, we're primarily focusing on scouting guys and getting that interest in scouting progress up more, but we do want to see if there might be some prospects lurking out there. So we do want to do one more week of checks of the international infielders, because like I said, guys, our infield is really slacking, and based on what we've seen and discovered so far, we haven't found too much more that we can look. Bobby Cervantes is also an interesting pick. I'm one of those guys where it's like running backs in football. You don't really want to draft a relief pitcher in the first round. You can always find you a really good solid one in the second, third, fourth, later on rounds. So I wasn't sure about that pick. But as we mentioned in previous episodes, Brian Kua is an interesting guy. Don't know what other positions he can play, but with what looks like to be good fielding stats, looks like he probably will play an infield, but we at least shortstop. Nathan Masters is also an interesting one, as he's a high schooler, fantastic contact, great hitter, great speed, pretty good fielding. Definitely is a guy who's going to take some years to develop being at a high school, but he's at a position of need for us at second base, so another guy that can definitely look at. Todd McCann's another one. As you guys can see, we're definitely looking to develop young talent, as we're looking primarily for like high schoolers, unless there is a 4-year junior or 4-year senior that does stand out to us, because those guys tend to be the generational prospects and tend to be the guys who have sometimes lower potential but more certain potential and typically better overall from the beginning due to their experience in college. So we do look at Todd McCain and we begin to scout other prospects as we look to getting some infield help, some starting pitching help. BJ Clark was definitely another interesting one. Starting pitcher, but he's a switch hitting batter, which is definitely interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that out of a pitcher, being a switch hitting batter with throwing right. But he's a guy we definitely take a look at, as all these guys, except for the first guy that we wanted to scout, is probably in our typical range. As I mentioned earlier in previous episodes, we are drafting 16th. First, second, and starting pitching are still our primary goals. As third base, you might look to sign someone in the off season, or at least we just want to take a break and also take a look at second, because even though we're ranked 17th, it's due to the abundance of guys we have that are decent, but we're looking for that star infielder, that everyday starter. We don't really have that yet, with Flores and Estrada not being too certain yet. Estrada does have that B potential, but we're just not 100% sure if he can be that everyday second baseman, if he can't get that average and on base up and get some of them fielding errors down. But we are going to get some live in action into the Rockies series, as Logan Webb is going up against Sensatella, or however you pronounce his name. Some of these people have some difficult names. But as we take a look at both lineups, we do see we have a couple guys hitting fairly well in 290s and second and third in the lineup. And the Rockies are also just as bad as us when it comes to swinging, and which also shows in their records. Logan Webb's having a tough season. When you know it's tough when Antonio Sensatella is actually pitching better than him. But anyways, guys, let's get into the action. See y'all at first pitch. Definitely looks to be a high-flying, high-scoring game because we all know how Coors Field is. Always willing to give up runs. Got the triple alley in the back corner of it. And obviously with it being in Colorado, you got the high air. That's definitely going to send balls flying. Sensatella does throw a pitch fastball down the middle to J.D. Davis. He does get an opposite field single off the 3-1 count. Definitely has been one of our bright stars early this season, hitting 290, getting on around a 360, 370 clip. Definitely feel good putting him second in the lineup. As we take a look at our home run leaders, Jock is second with 11, but Mitch is up there at 15th. I believe that is top 5 in the majors at this point in the season. So he's definitely bringing those power numbers as everybody else is kind of rounding out and doing fairly well. But Jock is up to bat. 3-1 count. Let's see what Antonio is going to pitch him. Pitches him another fastball. It looks like his location is very into the strike zone. So with another opposite field hit, does give us for the guy on first and second. Mitch Haniger does get out. So Yastrzemski is coming up, having a solid season so far. 230 is about his career average. We wish it was better, but that is his career average as he's more of a solid bench defensive guy. But 2-2 count, 2 outs with a guy on first and second. High fastball. And our Giants are definitely finding that fastball today. It is not missing our bats. As he's able to hit a long drive deep to get a triple out of it. Even with 44 speed, he's able to leg out a triple. If I told you guys something about Coors Field, anything is possible. But he does get a bases clearing triple. First triple of the season. As you watch it on the replay. Able to get us a couple runs in to get us that early lead 2-0. If it was anywhere but Coors, that might be a home run over the fence, but with that high fence right there, it does stop it from going over. Lamont Wade does go in with a full count, top of the first, with Yastrzemski still on third, and is able to fork up the walk to put him on the bases. With the corners, Crawford, who is struggling hitting under 200, is able to get at the 1-2 count. And he gets a great swing on a sinker out of the zone to bring Yastrzemski in to start the game off 3-0. What a way to start. Definitely want to help Logan Webb out with the way his pitching woes have been. Get him as many runs as possible. And even though the old slugger is showing that he is regressing with his age, he is still coming in with the timely clutch hits. As Estrada shows us exactly what not to do with people on base and strikes out to a pretty good curveball. Gotta love Giants baseball. As we get into the outing for Logan Webb, we see the struggles, the record 3-6, the whip higher than what he normally does, 4 ERA. Definitely looking for him to have a better outing today, as he is facing a pretty struggling overall the team, but definitely offensively Colorado Rockies. He's pitching to Ezequiel Tovar, and he is able to get him out looking on the fastball. Looks like we can hit it, but those Rockies ain't seeing it. So he is able to get through the first, and I just skimmed through the first couple innings just because they were pretty much 3 and outs on the board for each team. So as we fast forward to the top of the fourth, Lamont Wade gets another walk, get that OBP up, and does get onto first base. Crawford, after that single in the first inning to get his RBI count up, is back up to bat. 3-1 count. Excuse me, guys. Let me see what he can do. I don't know what he was thinking on that one, as he does show still a pretty good glove. As you guys can see, he is top 10 in assists this year, so the defense has not gone away, but he is able to get a walk on that, as we could always wonder and ponder what would have happened if he might have swung at that fastball. Well, he does get on base to get Estrada up, 3-1 count, guy on first, second, no outs, top of the fourth. Who knows what Antonio's thinking? He throws a slider, surprising slider that just sneaks into the strike zone. I don't know who could have saw that one coming. That was one heck of a pitch as they do start to warm up a reliever. Thinking about getting Senzatella out in early in the 4th inning. But
the GS3, I got the chronic by the tree. Throw your hands in the air if you's a true player. To the honeys getting money playing.
As he's never really going to be a high on base guy, but we want him to improve that power, maybe improve the average a little bit, and hopefully get his defense up to average territory to where he can be that everyday second. But we really want more of the power, more of the runs being brought in. So we definitely love to see it bouncing back from the strikeout, getting the bomber on that fastball that Senzatella just has not been able to locate. And when you can't locate that primary pitch, you gotta get up out of there. So early on in the game, he ball into that pitcher. So they do bring in Justin Lawrence, which is ironic since they warmed up Lucas Gilbreth. So I guess they didn't want him in the game. So they do put in Justin Lawrence, who gives up a solid contact to Perez. It's going, the center fielder is chasing, and he is able to catch it. Good play by Daza, showing good range. Perez got good contact on it, but wasn't able to get it far enough. So we do fast forward a little further, as we are kind of in blowout territory, mercy territory, up 6-0. Get to the bottom of the 4th. Local Webb still pitching solid. Getting ready to throw that slider. And a good foul off on a tough pitch. Definitely was hoping he would strike out on that one. As we know, Chris Bryant isn't the best versus righties. He's definitely more formidable against the lefties. Hit him with a nice sinker, or changeup, I mean. Fooled me and fooled Chris Bryant, as we left him froze, unable to swing at the pitch, but he does check swing for the out. Alan Trejo does come up in that 6th spot, 1-1 count. Logan hits it with the fastball, and Trejo is able to get solid contact on it, and Yastrzemski is able to make a good play, but he isn't able to get him out as he is able to get a double. So the Rockies are finally able to get a man in scoring position. Allen's 14th, and his hitting streak continues at 10 games. So it's good to see that for the Rockies. Bad to see that for us. We don't want him on base at all. 3-2 count. Fastball is put in work as Randall Gruchek is unable to swing at the fastball. If you don't want to swing, we'll take the win. Jock is back up, still going up against Lawrence on top of the 5th. And he thought he had a walk, but now he got to walk back to the dugout. Strikeout on Jock. Mitch Haniger is coming into the game, kind of struggling with a couple strikeouts early on in this ball game. Let's see if he can maybe bring it back around.
The GS3, I got the chronic by the tree. Throw your hands in the air if you's a true player. To the honeys getting money playing.
There. We already knew it would be in Coors Field. It was going to be fireworks, but I guess it was one-sided today as Haniger hits it 446 feet. You can't beat that. That is a moonshot if we've ever seen one. As we watch it on the replay in slow-mo, we see just how much of that ball Haniger was able to get. As we see how far it goes all the way to the last section of the stands. Feel good for those fans that paid only $15 for a ticket because they might have got a home run ball. Up 7-0 now. Lawrence does walk Yastrzemski to put him on. Wade is on a 3-1 count. And what do you know? He gets another walk. Even though no one's going to pitch to Wade, he is definitely being patient and getting on and contributing to the ball game. Crawford's back up. Seems like he only seems to get up when people on base. Another 1-2 count with 1-2 people on. And Crawford smokes that sinker right down the middle. Yastrzemski is able to round third and score. And so is Wade. Oh, or maybe not. We thought that was an easy run. But that catcher made a good tag. Good relays by the outfielder and the second baseman to get him out. Crawford does still remain on second, though, following the base running blunder. Estrada almost had another one, guys. It was almost 2 home runs for the stat line for him. But we are back in that 1-2 count. Let's see what my mans can do. Chases the outside slider, but he was just protecting in the 1-2. Yeah, he's able to get a perfect hit to get Crawford to third, and now Estrada is on first. My man's giving him a little encouragement, trying to keep his job himself. Good job, Richardson. Perez is up, full count, 2 outs, top of the 5th, and they walk Perez too. A lot of these Rockies pitchers seem to just really be having some pitch locations, almost like the ball is just going another way, like someone's just blowing on it, like So they bring him out, and they finally do bring in Lucas Gilbreth, pitching a 4.56 lefty. I guess they just wanted to have an advantage against Conforto, and it does work, as the inside fastball is just too much heat for Conforto to handle. And it is able to get them out of the fifth inning to the bottom of the 5th, up 8-0 with Toglia, Diaz, and Diaz up. Or Daza, I said Diaz. Diaz and Daza. That's a tongue twister. Anyways, Diaz is able to hit the opposite field and hits it a long way, all the way to the backstop, as Yastrzemski is able to field it. But Diaz says he doesn't care, and he's going for the triple. Too bad, Crawford still got it. As I mentioned earlier, guys, even though the hitting has plundered, his arm is still there. As you can see, perfect tag by J.D. Davis to get him out. He thought he had it, but he was just too slow. So with that would-be triple not happening, it does make it an easy 5th inning, getting us to the 6th with Davis, Peterson, and Haniger up. So we do just simulate the rest of the ball game, because it looks like we had an easy win on our hands. As Yastrzemski does hit another solo shot in the 8th, and Logan Webb does give up a run in the 9th inning. He got all the way to the end before he gave up that run, getting a complete game victory, 9-1. Definitely love to beat a division rival, even though they're struggling just as much as we are. Love to get the wins. Because this team definitely struggled on the season, so any good game we can have, we appreciate. But it's pretty much rebuild mode at this point. Definitely appreciate some of the bats that came alive and strong pitching. If we could have games like this all the time, we might have a chance to maybe make the playoffs in the next couple seasons. I just don't see it being this year, as we're already 9 games below, and the Dodgers and the Padres are flying fast ahead. But what a fantastic game. Really, we just took advantage of guys on, and the Rockies didn't, as they only had 1 less hit than us, but we had 8 more runs. Heck of a game. As we see the stat line for Logan, he did have 11 strikeouts. Definitely need to boost that man's K per 9. But as we're getting closer to the midway part of the season, closer to that trade deadline, definitely want to take a look at some guys who are kind of struggling on the year, and maybe see if we can get some prospects, free up some money, get some contracts out of there, and try to see if maybe, like I said, get some prospects, or maybe get some MLB ready guys, or some guys that are right on the fringe that can maybe just get us through the rest of the season, or possibly start next season for us. So we did put our pitchers in Manea and Alex Wood onto the trade block, as they are costing us a lot of money and not giving us a lot of results. Conforto, being worth $18 million a year, just isn't cutting it. So definitely had to put him on the trade block. And as we look at some other guys, Joe Ross was definitely another one, as we have plenty of pitching prospects, and he is getting up there in age, and I just don't see him getting much higher. So definitely take a look at him. Flores is another one. Even though he signed to a cheap deal, he is a deep potential, so he is just going to continue to regress. But really, the only thing that's keeping him around is his ability to play every infield position and have such high durability, so he can be an easy fill-in guy, a good bench bat, but he's also not even hitting well. So we did make a starting pitcher, first base, third base, shortstop, right field, kind of the same things we were looking for in the draft as our positions that we're seeking. I put it more for left field this time, just because we do have Haniger already signed. In left field, we are really struggling, other than a couple prospects that might develop. We do get another win in the Rockies series to take the win out of the series, but let's see if we can close it out with a win, and we do. We are able to sweep the Rockies off their feet and get up out of Colorado with a couple more victories. As we check out the second game, Haniger did pop off, hitting a home run, getting 4 RBIs, hitting 2 doubles in a home run at that. And Wood, even though we put him on the trade block, did have a good 6 solid innings, only giving up 2 walks and 2 runs. Yeah, I love it. Don't like to see the error by Haniger, but as good of a hitting gaze he had, we'll take the defensive struggle. Sorry, guys. And then the next day, we do win 5-1, so just overall strong pitching performances all throughout the series. Haniger, unfortunately, does get 3 strikeouts, but we do have to get a couple hits with everybody else. Wade gets a double, Estrada gets another home run in the series, and pretty much it was Perez and Estrada that led the way with the RBIs. Next is a Chicago team that's pretty similar than us record-wise. Let's take a look to see how that will go. We lose 1-2. Alex Cobb versus Wineski. And we also lose that. That's what I'm saying, guys. We have very inconsistent play. As you guys can also see the standings, we are 15 games already behind the Dodgers, 6 behind the Padres, who are probably close to the wild card, if not in the wild card spot. So we do finish up that week of scouting, as Donnie Dennis is #1 on our board so far. But like I said, it was good to scout him to see and confirm that he is one of the top prospects as advertised. But more than likely, he's not going to be there, as we pick 16th. And his bonus is rather high. He won $7.2 million. He must know he's pretty good. So after scouting those guys, we do look to scout some more players, kind of look more in our range and kind of see who is going to be the next giant. Who's going to be that next guy? I'm always looking for that next Buster Posey, that next Brandon Crawford, that next Jeff Kent, that next Joe Durham. Just any giant great. That next Willie Mays, that next BB. Maybe we won't say his name, but if you guys know the initials, you know what I'm talking about. But after that, we finish up. We do jump right into a game in AAA. Kyle Harrison versus basically I believe the Aviators are the Oakland Athletics affiliate team. So we are going up against them. Harrison has a terrible top of the first, giving up 4 runs. And we also do poorly, not even getting a hit. Luis Morales is having a good season, but Healy and Alvarez are able to get 2 singles. So we have a guy on second and third, and we strike out to end the inning. Harrison has given up too many hits for me. 8 hits already in 2 innings. So we had to get him out way early. Bringing Aaron Fletcher, lefty, who's having a fantastic season. He does give up the sac fly, but manages to keep it at a run. Putting it at 5-0, and the bats just aren't swinging for us. We're getting a couple guys on, but just not hitting them in a timely fashion to get them in scoring position and score the runs. Tyler Wade is able to get on to second with a single and the stolen base afterwards. But we do get the ground out to get out of the inning. Guzman grounds out, Alvarez strikes out. Ramos is able to get a walk. He has pretty solid discipline, so I do hope that his OBP stays pretty high, with the discipline being in the 60s, I believe. Then Fletcher also gets up a walk and a single, so after an inning and a half of good pitching, it was time to get him out of there to get Delaplane, and he immediately gives up a 2-run double. A single almost gets the run, but the runner is thrown out to end the top of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th went kind of like the rest of the innings that got going for our team, which is 0, nada, no runs left, or no runs scored. We do get a double to bring it in, but the runner's thrown out, and then Joey Bart is able to bring a run in to get us to 7-1. 2 singles. means he got to get up out of there. So we do bring in Jose Cruz, who ends the inning. Luis Matos grounds out. McCray strikes out to top off the lineup. And then Cruz gives up a 2-run shot as it's now 9-1. And the pitching was just bad from beginning to end. So then we bring Tillo in. He is able to get out of there. We get 2 walks and a fielder's choice to get us out of the 8th. And then the 9th inning pretty much goes how the rest of the game went. Double play ends us off. We give up 19 hits and lose 9-1. Now, typically our minor leagues have been pitching fairly well, but that just was not the game. That was not the game. Well, the AAA team and AA team are still above 500. Surprisingly, our AAA team is still above 500 after losing 6 straight games. But that just shows you how good they were early on, as we are able to pull out a 1-0 victory in AA versus Altoona. Not much to really show. We have 8 hits, 4 walks, but the only RBI was by Arbach. Silva continuing his fantastic season, giving up no runs. Meanwhile, in the MLB, we do lose the series, so after we sweep the Rockies, we get swept by the Cubs. Who would have figured? 4-1 against St. Louis Cards, and we do continue to keep the win 4-1 versus the Cards, as we do look at a very intriguing trade. Curtis Mead, a position that we need, being a potential guy, is not hitting very well on the AAA season, but he is a position of need, both positions of need, with his secondary position being first base and his primary being third. Solid fielder, really good fielder actually. Solid contact, solid vision, could turn out to be a pretty good guy coming out of Australia. Solid speed, and Manea with his contract, he's definitely looking like an interesting trade piece. I debated it back and forth, kind of looked at what we had in our team. Other than Apostle and Casey Smith, you can see not too many guys with high potentials. Most of the guys with D or below. And considering this season is pretty much a wash with us being so far out of the wild card, and with Harrison, other than that last game, doing fairly well in AAA and looking like he's pretty much ready for the call up, I think it's that time. I think it's that time to let Manea go, save that $12.5 million upon next season, since we did sign him for a 2-year deal, and bring in the hometown boy, and bring in the home state boy, the Kyle Harrison from California. Let's see if we can call him up. So we do go ahead and go with that trade, getting Curtis Mead as a Giant. The Rays didn't really need him, with them having Isaac right above him with a higher overall, and we could definitely use him in the farm system. If anything else, we can maybe switch him to first. If anything, we need the defense at third, with him being a fantastic fielder and J.D. Davis being the exact opposite. So I really just wanted to keep taking a good overview of the team, because I don't want to make any crazy trades or do too much trading, as I want to try to keep this team realistic. But we give up Manea, who's having a pretty solid year, nothing too fantastic. 3.4 is nothing to sneeze at, nothing to laugh at. And it is one of his better seasons so far, as you can kind of see. He's pitched in the high 4s in a couple of years. The WAR is already creeping up to a 0.9, almost at a 1. So I can definitely see why the Rays were interested. We just don't need him. With him being a lefty, we already have a very good young lefty on the team. So that's it. Curtis Mead is on the roster. That is one of our first moves in this season, but it really was just preparing us for the future, as there was no need to keep Manea, as we're not looking to be competitive right now with the team struggling. Webb is catching on fire, getting that ERA lower. And as we can see, we have a pretty complete and full third baseman room at this point. But we're glad to see that we got an A prospect in that room at least, as we do put him down into AAA. No need to keep him in the majors as of now. Let's see what he can do in a season or two, and see if we can call him up then. So with Alvarez struggling in that last game, we did call him down to AA. See if he can maybe pick it back up And then as we also take a look at Apostle, he is doing pretty solid on the season. Unfortunately, he's going down versus righties, which I really would like for him to stay very well versus righties, but he is increasing versus lefties. Schmidt is just, yeah, Schmidt is Schmidt. He's Schmidt all over the place. But can't get mad at him because it seems to be a team thing. I think I might need to fire our hitting coach in the offseason because nobody's hitting well. Nobody except Jock and JD Davis are hitting well. Anyways, we do make that move to get Harrison on to the 40-man. And we want to call Bednar up as he is one of the next guys that we look to call up to the majors. And he is having a pretty solid season in AA. I want to see how he can handle the AAA bats to see if he can do the same thing. And then with Seth Corey being in single A, not really getting too much time in MLB The Show. Obviously in real life, the single A does play games, but not in the show. So we decided to also bring Seth Corey up into the mix to get him some action to see what he can do in AA. But now if you take a look at the Major League roster, now with Manaea gone from the trade, we see that Kyle Harrison fits perfectly into that 5th spot, brings us back that second lefty in the starting rotation. Let's take a look at our relief pitchers. Alexander's still doing pretty good. Scalafani's been our best reliever, one of our best relievers with the amount of innings pitched. But Vibria and the Rogers brothers are really struggling. Jackson is struggling too, and Duvall is struggling. So really overall, just the whole pitching. When we do pitch good games, our bullpen throws it, or our starting pitching doesn't do well, and then our bullpen tries to finish out what is already a lost game. So definitely needs some more timely pitching and some better defense too. Because every game that I've looked and analyzed, we do seem to have an error. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up the video. Make sure you subscribe if you do enjoy the content. And next game that you will see will be Kyle Harrison's first game in the majors. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And as always, don't win out. Peace, love, and blessings.